Hi everybody, welcome to the Sun Racing preview of the opening 2 days of the St Leger Festival. We are going to be discussing the Scepter Filly Stakes on the opening day, and I'm delighted to be joined by Templegate, aka Steve Mullen, and Chad Yeomans of Betway to discuss the runners. It's a Group 3, probably the only good race on the opening day, the Wednesday. The Leger Legends race is somewhat of a weird contest this year without any actual legends taking part. So we're only going to discuss the Scepter Filly Stakes, which features Jubiloso, Mubtasima, Althika, Cloak of Spirits at the top of the market. Steve, it looks a pretty competitive race, doesn't it? Plenty of these kind of at the same mark on ratings. Who do you think it's going to go to?
I think Mubtasima is the one I like most in this. Blotted the copybook a little bit on the all-weather last time, but I think that was fair enough. I mean, not all horses take to it, do they? It was very impressive at Newbury. Like horses over this specialist distance, it's obviously ideal. And you look at the opposition, there's plenty there. I mean, Althika hasn't done an awful lot wrong. Went close at Deauville last time in very soft conditions. We'll have to see what the weather does between now and off time, because obviously it can get very testing at Doncaster. I don't know, I think it's just on the soft side at the moment. Also ran well at Glorious Good with that one, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Althika run well. And obviously you mentioned Jubiloso, looked rusty at Royal Ascot last time, but obviously has a lot of class at the best. But Mubtasima is the one for me.
Mubtasima for you, Steve. Also, Mubtasima for me. I think she is definitely the one to beat if she bounces back from that Chelmsford run. Nothing went right for her that day, I don't think, behind Miss Celestial. It was a bit of a weird result, and I think back on turf, she is the one to beat over her preferred trip. Chad, who do you like in the race?
It's a strange race, isn't it? Because Jubiloso has got probably the most talent, natural talent, but he's yet to do it. And she's only beaten one or so in the last two runs. She went off 4-5 favourite for the Betway Atalanta Stakes last 12 months ago, just over. And then she went off favourite at Royal Ascot this year and didn't beat anyone home. I have seen a bit of her work recently when I was in Newmarket a couple of weeks ago. I was out with some of the stable lads, and I saw a video of her working with Highest Ground, who was narrowly beaten in Dante. They said she is back to her best, and the video, I mean, horses are horses. If the horse was her, obviously they had no saddlecloths on, so I was taking their word for it. If it was her, she did work very well. She did travel, and she did quick and clear away from the two horses they said that she was up against. But it's just, you just can't set your watch by, can you? And coming off the back of one bad run's okay, but coming off the back of two bad runs and excuses at Goodwood the time before that, you just have to think that the market's going to be there's other options elsewhere, which is why I've gone for Henry Candy's horse, Jouska, trained by Henry Candy and ridden by Graham Lee. This horse is related to many winners over 7 furlongs and a mile and a quarter, so I don't think going up and trip from 6 will be a hindrance. She was staying on second in a listed race at Pontefract last time, and as a juvenile, she actually ran in some really hot races, and perhaps just found them a little bit too quick, but she was on the score sheet early on in her career, and I just think she's got a little bit of class, and there's probably a little bit of work in her mark of 97, and at the prices, she's going to be 14, 16 to 1. I think she represents great each-way value.
How about that for a price? And how about that for some inside info on Jubiloso? That is some proper talk of the track there. Lovely stuff, Chad, for that. If Jubiloso is working on the same degree of talent as Highest Ground, then she should really be winning this, you'd have thought. Moving on now to Thursday, where we've got a much better card on show, headed by a couple of Group 2s. But first of all, I just want to get one-word answers from both of you on the Sky Sports Racing Conditions Stakes, which features the return of Logician. He's got to take on Mythical Magic, who won't beat him. But Zaki has a chance, despite the fact Logician being 2-13 and Zaki being 5-1. This is only £6 between them, and Zaki has race fitness on side for Sir Michael Stout. So yes or no, Templegate, will Logician return with a victory?
Yes or no? You said probably as well, didn't you? How about I'll give you a 3-word answer? 3-horse race. Bet in a 3-horse race. Should do. I mean, you would hope so, wouldn't you? I mean, I'll say yes.
Okay. How about you, Chad?
I'll say yes, and I'll say that he goes on this to run well in the Arc.
I like it. I really like that. That's a great answer. I'm going to say no. I think Zaki's going to have his measure. Race fitness on side, only £6 between them, and Logician will not be tuned up to his best, despite the fact that we know he likes the track. And I'm not sure this trip is going to be perfect from either of Roman de Quarter. I think it does give Zaki a chance of turning the market around. On to the 210, the Bet365 May Hill Stakes Group 2. Always very informative race, this one, for 2-year-old fillies. A couple in here that had really nice debuts. The Beale Queen ahead to the market, and Indigo Girl at Yarmouth recently for John Gosden and Frankie Vittori. Great Vibes and Lilac Road also won recently. And Joseph O'Brien says an interesting runner over in Ubuntu. Chad, we'll start with you this time. Nice little race, this one. Who do you like most?
Nice little race, but I think it's a one-horse contest. I think Zabeel Queen is the best filly we've seen this year. I had the pleasure of speaking with Roger Varian a couple of weeks ago, and I'd asked him about various different horses. And unprompted, he mentioned Zabeel Queen doing some really nice work at home. And then I went out for drinks with a few friends, and one of them, or two of them, work at Varian's. One of them is the wife of the assistant trainer, and they all mentioned this horse. They all mentioned this horse again, unprompted, as a really nice horse. I asked racing manager, I said I don't think we've seen the 1,000 guineas winner yet, or the 2,000 guineas winner. And he said, well, I think we have, because I think she is trained by us. She's 25 to 1 for the 1,000 guineas next year. She'll win this, and she'll probably go on to, to be favourite for the Classic next year. But she was really good at Ascot. Ascot races, maidens, as Steve, I'm sure we've discussed this before. I do question some of Ascot maiden form, but she looked good that day. And the word is actually she's a very, very, very smart horse. So, yeah, she wins.
Lovely and confident there from Chad. Templegate, would you agree with that assessment?
Yep, absolutely. The speed figure of that winner, Ascot, was blistering. I mean, just about the best one we've seen from a 2-year-old, and filly certainly, and better than Star of Emiratis when winning the Sweet Solera. So, that's Group 3 form already, really. And she was green, and she improved as the race went on. The only worry is the ground will be very different, but, she's a Frankel, it should be all right. Looking for a danger, obviously, Star of Emirati is the one. And Indigo Girl is proven on soft ground. And obviously, normally you wouldn't be too impressed coming from Yarmouth to this, but it's Gosden and Vittori, beautifully bred, so will obviously improve a lot. But I'll be very disappointed if Zabeel Queen doesn't win this quite cosily.
On to the 240 now, with the Weatherby's Racing Bank 200 grand 2-year-old stakes. A big field here with Yeoman in a first-time visor, heading the ratings and also the market. Imperial Force and Line of Departure also up there as well. Templegate, come to you first here. Who do you like in this?
Oh, this is a tough race, isn't it? There's a lot of money, especially this year, in the context of this season. This is one of the richest races of the season now, all of a sudden, isn't it? I've gone for Imperial Force, just hoping that he can refine the form. I mean, he's only had 3 runs, so it's not exactly a worry about form so far, but ran really well in the Norfolk Stakes. Liked the cut in the ground at Ascot. Andrew Baldwin won this last year. I think should run well at a reasonable price. Obviously, Yeomans probably the right favourite. Been running in really good races. Seems a bit of a quirky type though, but has gone close in a couple of Group 2s. A couple of others, Line of Departure, I think, has got a lot more to come. And Collins Bay hasn't won yet, but looks the type for this kind of challenge. But I think on balance, I'll just about go for Imperial Force.
Imperial Force for Andrew Balding, Betway Ambassador Andrew Balding, I should say a Chad. Who do you like in this? Do you like Imperial Force?
I do indeed. At the start of the season, before racing kicked off, I'd spoke with Andrew, who'd given 3 2-year-olds, who are the early 3 2-year-olds, who are really quite smart. Tactical, Imperial Force, and Bright Devil. Bright Devil won first time up. Tactical was third, and obviously we know he's gone on to for multiple successes. And Imperial Force, who was narrowly beaten by a horse called Creative Force of Charlie Appleby's, who looked the most straightforward 2-year-old I saw at that Newmarket fixture. Finished third at Royal Ascot behind the Lear Jet. I thought it was a good run. His run last time out was too bad to be true. And it wasn't like it was, there was no apparent reason. I spoke with Andrew, no apparent reason for that. It was just one of those things. But the race has turned out to be quite smart, so take nothing away from him. He's been campaigned for this race. His homework's been good, and I think he's got a proper chance. Another horse I do quite like the look of at a double figure price is Titan Rock, trained by John Quinn. Improved with each start, was 5th in the Aiken behind Gear Up, but was really keen throughout the race. Probably didn't do himself any favours by being so keen, but actually stuck on quite well. And I just think at a big price, double figure price, you'd probably get 4 places. There are worse each way, but there are lots of horses in this field, especially towards the bottom, where you could just say they just aren't good enough, haven't got enough experience. And for a horse who's running a group race, they tend to go quite well in these sales races.
Indeed they do. Indeed they do. Great stuff, Chad, for that. I'm going to go with Yeoman, first-time visor. I think he's the highest rated in the race, and I'm willing to give him a chance, despite the fact he wasn't at his best last time out. He is the best horse on form in the race, so I'm keen to go with him. On now to the 3:15, the Park Hill, which is always a very classy affair, and this year looks no different with Alpinista having run very well behind Love in Group 1 company last time out. Believe in Love is also up there for Roger Rivera and Adria Azeni, having won her last 4 starts in really good style. Pista, interesting runner for Joseph O'Brien, and then William Haggis has Monica Sharif and Vivian as well as up there for Sir Michael Stout. McAwee and Dubious Affair and Snow in first-time blinkers complete the lineup. Templegate, who's the one in this one?
Really looking forward to seeing Alpinista trying a trick for the first time. Was 5 lengths behind Love in the Yorkshire Oaks. Obviously, that's a really good effort. So Mark Prescott obviously knows what he's doing with these stayers. I think she did really well to win a listed race over 10 furlongs, given that that's obviously going to be a very short trip. I think being a Franco, not had a massive amount of stayers yet, but not had a chance really. And the way she races certainly makes it look like she'll enjoy the trip. I think Believe in Love's being in cracking form, deserves to be right up there. And you have to look at Monica Sheriff's effort in the Ebor when coming from miles back. I think that was a really good run, and I give that one a chance as well. But I think Alpinista, okay, not a huge price, I know, but very hard to beat up in the trip.
Alpinista there for Sir Mark Prescott. Chad, are you in the same camp?
I am actually. I can't quite get to the bottom of this race. When you look at it, I think the Dubious Affairs is a bit off. McAwie's a bit off. I think Vivian probably is more based on who she's trained by and who's, than anything. And then you look at the front lot. Alpinista went off 9-4 for her debut at Epsom. Now, how many Sir Mark Prescott horses go off 9-4 and win on debut? That probably tells you she's a little bit smarter than the average Sir Mark Prescott horse, who we all kind of tend to know and love as being somebody who runs over 6 furlongs 3 times, finishes last, then goes 1 mile 4 at Catterick and bolts up and then runs a sequence. He does obviously and has trained some plenty of good horses over the years, and I think this is probably the best one, especially in recent years. The second to Love was very good, and the win at Salisbury before that was good. And maybe I'm just trying to find something to beat her, but actually she's the best horse in the race. I think Believe in Love's probably hit her ceiling. She probably won and beat exposed horses, especially last time out, and I tend to say that was probably the ceiling of improvement. Pista is really interesting, but one thing I don't like is she went off 18-1, then 12-1, then 14-1. Good horses from those Irish yards, those strong Irish yards, don't go off double-figure prices all the time. So it must tell me that they don't think an awful lot of her at home. She's not a great workhorse. She obviously improves when she goes racing. But you'd want to see a little bit more support, especially for us coming from Joseph O'Brien's yard, when she's been successful. And I mean, maybe I'm looking into it a little bit too much, which is why I'm sticking with Alpinista. But Templegate, have you got any thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously not one of the superstars, is it? And, they've got a good yardstick. I mean, Pista's the one I thought, when I've done the write-up for the paper, I've put down as the horse having the most potential after that good effort at Leopardstown. But I still think quite a bit to find. I mean, you've got, as you say, Believe in Love, a good, honest horse. You'll be up there. And Alpinista just looks to have a touch of class to me. And, we're looking now for the next generation of cup horses, aren't we? And I think this would be quite a big thing for that hope for it to win. With next season in mind, with the likes of Stradivarius packing in and all, I think there's going to be, there's a vacancy for 2 milers, isn't there?
Yeah.
And I think it'd be really good if a horse like this could step up. But Pista will definitely be winning races. I'm just not sure it'll be this one.
Very good point there, made by both of you, actually. I'm going to go with Believe in Love against both of you, and I think this horse has not reached its ceiling yet. I was so taken by her win last time, and Roger Varian doesn't just throw his horses at windmills. I think Believe in Love definitely has more to come. I think she can rack up the 5-timer as one of the most progressive horses we've seen so far this campaign. Lastly, but not leastly, the price promise at Bet365 handicap, Class 2, 0-100 handicap. Really competitive race, this one. Jumara Bay, first-time cheap pieces for Roger Varian, and Cold Front, first-time tongue tie. And Eastern World in first-time cheap pieces. A lot of first-time headgear in this race, all head the market. Mr. Snowden up there as well with Richard Hughes, and Hakiki for John Gosden. Chad, who's the one in this one?
It's a really competitive race, really deep. You can make a case for plenty of them. Persuasion, Frankie Dettori teaming up with Charlie Hills, ran in the Guineas, second to Wichita last season after winning at Goodwood first time up. There's plenty of, you could make a real case for that horse, but you'd want to see support. Any market support would be positive. Any going the other way would be a huge negative. Eastern World dropping back to 7 furlongs, I think is a massive plus. I don't think he truly stays a mile. I think going back down to 7, but he's had the cheap piece supplied. I don't know whether that's a good thing. But there's a massive price. He's probably the biggest. He's probably outside of the field. Ziggle Pops for Richard Hannon hasn't ran a bad race this season. Won a race at Leafield on seasonal debut in what you could go through the form and say that was a real Britannia trial. The forms just stacked up throughout that race. He then ran in the Britannia behind Calusi on soft ground, which just went against him. Didn't beat that many home, but didn't run too badly. And then has ran a lot better than the bare form suggested at both Ascot and Newmarket next time out, staying on well each time. And I just think we haven't seen the best of this horse. Rated 87, Ross Ryan takes a ride to do the weight. He's got a cracking chance, especially that price.
It's tremendous. Ziggle Pops, who I think I liked for the Britannia earlier in the season. For Richard Hannon and Ross Ryan there, both of whom were having great seasons. Templegate, what about you?
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, I've kind of taken a hint from Roger Varian's good record in this. He's run some really nice horses in this race who've gone on to be a bit better than handicappers. He's won two of the past couple of run-ins. I mean, Jumeirah Bay, the first time cheek pieces are on, but I just was quite taken by the effort at York 2 runs ago when just beaten by Brunch in a head bobber. Followed that up at a bit of a penalty kick at Chepstow, but at least that showed that the soft ground will be fine if it does end up a bit softer. I think should run well. Persuasion is interesting, like we said. I mean, coming from the Guineas to this, being given time off. I don't know if there's anything particularly significant. Chad might know better about Frankie Rye than this over the Gosden horse. I don't know if there's some retainer going on there in the background or something, but. When Gosden's got one and Frankie goes on the other one, that's quite interesting, isn't it? For betting shop Sid angles, if you like it that way. And Eastern World, yeah, I mean, good run on the Knavesmire last time and a good win at Newmarket not so long ago. But I think Jumeirah Bay, with not a massive amount of confidence, but largely based on how Roger Varian has targeted this race.
Lovely stuff. First time headgear, hoping to make the difference there. Yeah, it's a very competitive race, this one, isn't it? I'm going to go with Milltown Star, another chance for that one. I thought that was a really nice reappearance actually at Goodwood last week, and he'll like the ground for Mick Shannon and Graham Lee. Lads, finally, best bets of the first 2 days. Chad, come to you first for that.
She's short, but I think Zabeel Queen wins, so I think I don't really want to be tipping up 7-4 shots, but if she wins, she wins, and it's better than putting in a building society.
There you go. And Templegate?
Yeah, I agree with that, but for variety, I'll go for Mub to Seamer on the opening day.
Great stuff. And I'm going to go with Believe in Love in the Park Hill. Thank you very much, lads. Great as always. Really enjoyed that. We'll see you later in the week for the final 2 days of Doncaster. But for now, see you all very soon.
Love it.